Ever heard the phrase New York City where dreams come true? Well, it turns out kindness comes true here too. And it all started with a teenager in a limo. When Barron Trump decided to play limousine musical chairs with a sick child, he accidentally invented a new game. Who can outnice New York? Spoiler alert. In this game, everybody wins. Stick around to see how the Big Apple turned into the Big Heart, one good deed at a time. The sleek black limousine inched through New York City's bustling Fifth Avenue, a stark contrast to the colorful chaos of the sidewalks. Inside, Barron Trump sat quietly, his gaze drifting between the tinted windows and his phone. The young man's thoughts were interrupted by a commotion outside a nearby hospital. A frail child, no more than 7 years old, struggled to get into a taxi. The child's parents looked distressed, their faces etched with worry and exhaustion. The scene unfolded like a silent movie, the limousine's soundproof interior muffling the outside world. Barron's heart raced as he watched the family struggle. He felt a pull, an urge to do something, anything to help. But doubt crept in. What if his actions were misinterpreted? What if he caused a scene? The internal conflict raged within him, his hand hovering over the intercom button to his driver. In a moment of decision, Barron pressed the button. "Pull over, please," he said, his voice steady, despite the butterflies in his stomach. The driver complied, though Barron could see the surprise on his face in the rearview mirror. The security detail in the car behind them scrambled to adjust to this unexpected stop. Taking a deep breath, Barron stepped out onto the sidewalk. The cool air hit his face as he approached the family, who were still trying to situate themselves in the taxi. "Excuse me," he said softly, careful not to startle them. "I couldn't help but notice you're having some trouble. Would you like to use my limousine?" The parents exchanged glances, their expressions a mix of disbelief and hesitation. The father spoke first, his voice tinged with suspicion. "That's very kind of you, but we couldn't possibly—" Barron cut him off gently. "Please, I insist. It's much more comfortable, and there's plenty of room for your child to lie down if needed." The sick child's eyes widened at the sight of the sleek black car. A small smile played on their pale lips, a stark contrast to their otherwise weary appearance. It was this smile that seemed to sway the parents. With a nod from Barron, his driver and security team helped the family into the limousine. The child's face lit up as they settled into the plush leather seats, their parents visibly relaxing as the door closed behind them. As the limousine pulled away, Barron found himself standing alone on the sidewalk, a whirlwind of emotions coursing through him. Relief, pride, and a touch of nervousness mingled in his chest. He watched the car disappear into the sea of yellow taxis and delivery trucks, carrying with it a family whose day he hoped he had made just a little bit easier. As the limousine disappeared into the bustling New York traffic, a woman in a crisp business suit stood frozen on the sidewalk, her morning coffee forgotten in her hand. Sarah Jenkins, vice president of marketing at a Fortune 500 company, had witnessed something extraordinary, and it tugged at her heart in a way she couldn't ignore. Sarah glanced at her watch, her stomach tightening. She was already running late for a crucial meeting that could make or break her career. The rational part of her brain screamed to hail a cab and rush to the office, but the image of Barron Trump's selfless act lingered in her mind, challenging her priorities. She watched as Barron stood alone on the sidewalk, looking both proud and a little lost. Sarah's internal conflict intensified. What would my colleagues think if I missed this meeting, she thought. But then again, what would I think of myself if I just walked away? The memory of her own childhood flashed before her eyes. Growing up in a struggling single-parent household, Sarah knew what it meant to receive unexpected kindness from strangers. It was those small acts of generosity that had given her hope and fueled her determination to succeed. Taking a deep breath, Sarah made her decision. She approached Barron, her heels clicking on the pavement. "Excuse me," she said, her voice softer than she intended. "I saw what you did for that family. It was incredibly kind. I'm headed uptown. Can I offer you a ride to your destination?" Barron looked up, surprised. A small smile crossed his face as he nodded, accepting her offer. As they settled into the back of a yellow cab, an unexpected conversation unfolded. Sarah learned about Barron's passion for environmental causes, while she shared stories of her own journey from a small-town girl to a high-powered executive. The cab ride was short, but it left a lasting impact on Sarah. As she hurried into her office building, her mind was far from spreadsheets and marketing strategies. Instead, she was consumed by thoughts of kindness and its ripple effects. Sarah entered the conference room, where her team and the company's top executives were already gathered. As she took her seat, she made a split-second decision that would change everything. "Before we begin," Sarah announced, her voice steady despite her racing heart, "I'd like to propose something new." The room fell silent, all eyes on her. "This morning, I witnessed an act of kindness that made me realize we have an opportunity, no, a responsibility to do more." Over the next few minutes, Sarah outlined a bold new initiative. She proposed that their company allocate a significant portion of its marketing budget to support local charities and community programs. "Imagine the impact we could have," she said, her eyes shining with passion, "not just on our brand image, but on real people's lives." The room was quiet for a moment, then erupted in a flurry of questions and suggestions. By the end of the meeting, Sarah's impromptu proposal had evolved into a full-fledged corporate social responsibility program, with unanimous support from the board. As the sun peeked through the dusty windows of a cramped studio apartment, Miguel Rodriguez scrolled through his phone, his fingers leaving smudges of paint on the screen. The struggling artist's eyes widened as he stumbled upon a viral post about Barron Trump's act of kindness. The story of a privileged young man giving up his limousine for a sick child struck a chord deep within Miguel's heart. Inspiration coursed through his veins, but reality quickly dampened his enthusiasm. Miguel glanced around his tiny living space, cluttered with half-finished canvases and worn paintbrushes. How could he, a man barely scraping by, make a difference in a world that seemed to value wealth and status above all else? Miguel set his phone aside and picked up a sketchbook, his mind racing with possibilities. He began to doodle, his pencil dancing across the page as he brainstormed ways to spread kindness through his art. Portraits of everyday heroes? Too small. A series of paintings for a local shelter? Not impactful enough. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Miguel's frustration grew. Suddenly, his pencil froze mid-stroke. Miguel's eyes lit up as an idea took root in his mind. What if he could create something big, something public, that would celebrate everyday acts of kindness? A mural, he thought, that could inspire an entire community. With renewed energy, Miguel began to sketch furiously. He envisioned a sprawling masterpiece that would cover the side of a building, depicting scenes of ordinary people performing extraordinary acts of compassion. A child sharing their lunch with a classmate, an elderly woman helping a stranger cross the street, a group of friends cleaning up a local park. But turning this dream into reality wouldn't be easy. Miguel spent days reaching out to local businesses, pitching his idea to anyone who would listen. Most dismissed him outright, but a few saw the potential in his vision. Finally, after countless rejections, the owner of a small grocery store on a busy corner agreed to let Miguel use the building's blank wall as his canvas. With permission secured, Miguel faced his next challenge: supplies. He scoured the city for discarded paint, accepting donations from art supply stores and fellow artists who believed in his mission. Every can of paint, every brush, felt like a small victory. As Miguel began to work, curious onlookers gathered to watch. Children on their way to school would stop and point, asking their parents about the colorful scenes taking shape before their eyes. Commuters paused in their morning rush, captivated by the growing mural of kindness. Word spread quickly through the neighborhood. Soon, local news stations arrived to interview Miguel about his project. As he spoke about his inspiration and vision, more people were drawn to the mural. Some even offered to help, picking up brushes to add their own touches to the masterpiece. After weeks of tireless work, Miguel stepped back to admire the finished product. The once drab wall now burst with color and life, each scene a testament to the power of small acts of kindness. Crowds gathered to take photos, sharing images of the mural on social media and spreading its message far beyond the neighborhood. In the bustling heart of New York City's financial district, a sleek skyscraper stood as a monument to corporate success. Inside, the offices of Thomson Enterprises buzzed with activity. CEO Jack Thompson, a no-nonsense businessman known for his razor-sharp focus on the bottom line, strode through the halls with purpose. But today, something was off. The usual hum of productivity was punctuated by whispers and the occasional chuckle. Nash employees huddled around computer screens, their faces lit up with an enthusiasm that had nothing to do with quarterly reports. Jack paused, his brow furrowing. What could possibly be distracting his entire workforce? As he approached a group of marketing executives, they quickly dispersed, trying to look busy. But Jack wasn't fooled. He caught a glimpse of a colorful image on one of the screens. A mural splashed across a city wall. "What's this all about?" Jack asked, his voice tinged with a mixture of curiosity and irritation. Sarah from marketing, usually intimidated by the CEO's presence, spoke up with unexpected enthusiasm. "It's the kindness movement, sir. It's spreading all over the city. People are doing random acts of kindness, and well, it's inspiring." Jack's initial reaction was skepticism. How could random acts of kindness possibly affect his business? He was about to dismiss it as a passing fad when he noticed something. The energy in the office was different. People seemed more engaged, more connected. Even as they scrambled back to their tasks, there was a palpable sense of excitement. As Jack retreated to his office, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was missing something important. He spent the next hour scrolling through news articles and social media posts about the kindness movement. Stories of small gestures, making big impacts, flooded his screen. And then it hit him. This wasn't just a trend, it was an opportunity. The next morning, Jack called an all-hands meeting. The employees filed in, exchanging nervous glances. But what came next surprised everyone. Jack announced a new company-wide initiative, Kindness in Action. Every employee would be encouraged to perform a daily act of kindness, both in and out of the office. To support this, the company would provide resources and time for community service projects. At first, there was hesitation. Was this really coming from Jack Thompson, the man known for his ruthless business tactics? But as the days passed, something remarkable began to happen. The office atmosphere transformed. Colleagues who had barely spoken before were now connecting over shared experiences of helping others. Team projects flowed more smoothly as a spirit of cooperation took hold. What Jack hadn't anticipated was the impact on productivity. As morale soared, so did efficiency. Creative solutions to long-standing problems emerged as employees approached their work with renewed energy and perspective. The company's public image began to shift too. Word spread about Thomson Enterprises' commitment to kindness, attracting positive media attention and even new clients who valued socially responsible partners. News vans lined the streets of New York City, their satellite dishes reaching toward the sky like metal flowers. Reporters jostled for position, microphones at the ready, eager to capture the latest development in the city's unexpected kindness phenomenon. Amidst the frenzy, Rachel Maxwell stood apart, her brow furrowed as she observed the scene with skepticism. Rachel, a veteran journalist known for her hard-hitting exposés, had been assigned to cover the story. She sighed, running a hand through her short dark hair. How could she find a unique angle in this sea of positivity? As she walked through the bustling streets, she overheard snippets of conversation, all centered around acts of kindness that had touched people's lives. Determined to dig deeper, Rachel began her journey through the city. She interviewed a diverse array of New Yorkers, from Wall Street executives to street vendors. Each person she spoke to had a story to share, a moment when an unexpected act of kindness had brightened their day or changed their perspective. As Rachel ventured into neighborhoods often overlooked by the media, she made a surprising discovery. The kindness movement had reached even the most marginalized communities. In a small community center in the Bronx, she met Maria, a single mother who had started a neighborhood watch program that doubled as a support network for struggling families. "It's like a ripple effect," Maria explained, her eyes shining. "One person helps another, and suddenly everyone wants to be part of it." We're not just watching out for crime anymore. We're watching out for each other. Rachel found herself struggling to capture the true scope and impact of the kindness wave. How could she quantify the smiles on people's faces, the warmth in their voices as they recounted their experiences? She realized that this story was more than just facts and figures. It was about the intangible shift in the city's atmosphere. As she immersed herself in the story, Rachel felt her own cynicism beginning to crack. She caught herself holding doors open for strangers, offering her seat on the subway and smiling more often. The change in her demeanor didn't go unnoticed by her colleagues at the news station. After weeks of research and interviews, Rachel's in-depth report aired on national television. It wasn't just a piece about random acts of kindness, it was a powerful narrative about community, connection, and the potential for positive change. The story resonated with viewers across the country, sparking discussions about how to foster similar movements in other cities. As the story gained traction, New York found itself with a new nickname, the City of Kindness. The once hardened reputation of the Big Apple had been transformed, and tourists flocked to the city, hoping to experience the phenomenon for themselves. Dr. Alicia Chen raced through the emergency room corridors, her white coat billowing behind her. The hospital buzzed with activity, monitors beeping and staff moving swiftly between patients. As she approached her next case, Dr. Chen recognized the child from the viral kindness story involving Barron Trump, examining the patient doctor. Chen's professional demeanor masked her internal conflict. She knew the full story behind the limousine ride, but understood the importance of confidentiality. After finishing her examination, she gently asked the parents if they would be comfortable sharing their experience with the hospital staff. To her surprise, the family eagerly agreed, seeing it as a chance to give back to the community. Dr. Chen gathered the staff in the conference room, and as she recounted the story, a hush fell over the room. The impact was immediate and profound. Within weeks, the hospital implemented new initiatives. A kindness cart roamed the halls, offering small comforts to patients and families. A support group for parents of chronically ill children provided a space for sharing and healing. The pediatric ward transformed with colorful murals, telling stories of hope and resilience. The child at the center of Barron's act of kindness had sparked a movement that now touched countless lives. The hospital staff found renewed purpose in their work, going above and beyond for those in their care. The new programs provided crucial support during the child's treatment, easing the burden on the family and bringing moments of joy to an otherwise challenging journey. The ripple effect of one simple act had created a wave of compassion, transforming the hospital into a beacon of hope for all who entered its doors. The child's strength and the family's gratitude became a constant source of inspiration for the hospital staff, reminding them of the profound impact of kindness in healthcare. The bustling halls of City Hall echoed with fervent debates of budget proposals and policy discussions. But something was different. Mayor Rodriguez sat in his office, brow furrowed as he listened to his assistant's report on the latest constituent feedback. The usual complaints about potholes and parking tickets had been replaced by an unprecedented wave of positivity. As the mayor mulled over the implications, his team presented a flood of social media posts and news coverage dubbing New York the City of Kindness. Determined to harness this goodwill, he called an emergency meeting with his advisors. The conference room buzzed with energy as ideas flew back and forth. Budget hawks clashed with progressives, each seeing potential in different aspects of a citywide kindness initiative. "We can't afford to throw money at feel-good projects," argued the finance director, her voice sharp with concern. "But we can't afford not to," countered the social services chief. "Imagine the long-term savings if we reduce crime and improve mental health through community support." As negotiations intensified, an unlikely coalition formed. Fiscal conservatives saw potential for reduced social service costs, while progressives embraced the focus on community building. Even the typically cynical press secretary admitted the positive PR could be invaluable. After weeks of heated debates and compromise, Mayor Rodriguez stood before the city council to present the New York City Kindness Initiative. His voice filled with emotion as he described the program's potential. "This isn't just about feeling good," he emphasized. "It's about creating a stronger, more resilient New York." When we support each other, when we lead with compassion, we all benefit. This initiative will provide the framework to turn these individual acts of kindness into lasting change. As the initiative gained momentum, New York became a beacon of compassion, inspiring cities across the nation to follow suit. The city of kindness had found its heart, one act of generosity at a time. The true power of kindness lies in countless small acts connecting us all. New York City's transformation serves as a testament to this truth. What began with Barron's unexpected act of compassion rippled through the city, touching lives profoundly. From bustling boardrooms to quiet hospital wards, from colorful murals to trending hashtags, kindness wove itself into New York's fabric. It's in a stranger's smile, a barista's extra effort, or comforting words between commuters. What ripple will you start today? In this city of millions, we've learned that even the smallest act can create waves of change, transforming not just a moment, but an entire community. Let Barron's legacy inspire you to spread kindness.